Hi everyone, my name is Sue and I'm from eFuture. We have a series of 3 webinars planned specifically for Japan. So today is the first one and I'm doing it. And then we have the second one on the 12th of February. And Mari will do the session in Japanese. And then our third webinar is on the 20th of February, and Hannah will be doing the session. Okay, so hopefully you can come to those other sessions too. So how do you choose books? How do you choose books? You can tell me, you can type on the chat box how you choose the books. You can probably choose books from bookstore. You go to the bookstore and look at the books and choose the books. Or you can pick up some catalogs, from different publishers and look through the catalogs and choose the books. Yeah. And from book supplier. Yep. Okay, good. Yep. And you can also visit publisher's website and you can look at the books. So if you come to eFuture website, we provide sample units. So when you come to our website, here's the website address. You can see all these categories and you can choose a category. Let's say, for example, vocabulary. And then this will show the title of the book. And then when you go to preview section, you can actually look at the pages. Okay, so like this, you'll see the content page and you can see one unit from that book. Right, so this will help you making decisions. So here's my guide for you, and you probably know this already, right? And you might have some other ideas, right? That's all okay. We can all talk about that, right? So today I want to give a very simple guide. So you can just go through the checklist. You can go through the list, check, check, check. Or you can write down some notes next to the points, right? And then I hope this will help you making decisions, right? Choosing books. So let's look at number 1. I have 7 things on my list, right? The first one is probably the most important one. Know your students, right? That's the most important one, I think. Know your students. So you need to know the age, the level, interests, problems that they have, or difficulties that they face, or the environment. Okay, I'm sure there are other things that you need to know about your students, right? And probably the most important thing is, would they enjoy learning English with this book? I think you have to ask this question to yourself when you are choosing a book, right? Would they enjoy learning English with this book? This is probably the most important question, I think. Right? Let's look at the environment. So EFL and ESL, right? We are in EFL environment. And you probably know the difference between EFL and ESL, right? So students in Korea, students in Japan, students in Mexico, students in China, we are all in EFL environment, because we don't speak English in our daily life. We only speak English when we go to English class, right? That's it. And you probably have 1 class per week, 2 classes per week, 3 classes per week, and that's it, right? That's probably the only time you speak English. That's EFL, English as a foreign language, right? And if you compare that with ESL, right? If a Korean students go to the US, right, to live or to study, they will have to speak English all day, every day, 24 hours a day. Right? Wherever they go, they have to speak English. So that's ESL environment, right? So you are exposed to English all day, every day. So it's quite different. And when you choose books, you have to think about the difference, right? For EFL students, you have to choose the books written for EFL environment. So the books should contain essential language targets and more frequently used words and expressions, right? Because we don't have enough time We have to focus on the most important things and most frequently used items, right? Because we speak English for only limited time, once a week, twice a week, that's it, right? And the language targets should have logical sequence, and it should follow systematic progress, and it should have more practice, right? And hopefully more fun practice, and more link, recycle, and review. Okay, because we don't have much time, right? We have very limited exposure to English, so we need to have more link, more recycle. Okay. So when you choose phonics books, this is very important, right? You should follow this sequence, which is, I think this is the most logical and easiest sequence for EFL students to follow. You start with single letters and then move on to short vowels, and then learn long vowels, and then double letter consonants, and then double letter vowels. Okay, when you follow this sequence, it's not too difficult, right, for EFL learners. However, if you use books written for ESL or native children, they mix the sequence, they mix the targets. So it can be quite difficult for EFL students to follow. Okay, so please remember, a phonics sequence, very important for EFL students. You also need to think about the levels of your students, right? So if you don't know the level of your students, you can do a quick test, because we provide level test on our website. So if you come to eFuture website, you will find level test. Okay, if you click that icon, you will get to this page. Okay, level 1, level 2, level 3, right, goes up to level 6. And we try to match it with the grade. However, you have to remember that the student's grade and English level sometimes don't match, right? So this is just a guideline for teachers, because you have to start from somewhere, right? If your student is grade 2 and you don't know where to start, right, which books to use, then you can just try level 2 test and see, what sort of score the student gets, and then you can make decisions. Okay, so this is like a simple guideline for you to decide the student's level. And when students finish the test, you'll get a result like this. You'll get the overall score and recommended level. Okay, and you'll get the score for each skill, like listening, speaking, vocabulary, grammar, right? And then recommended curriculum. So your student is at level 3, then we recommend these books, right? For course books, maybe Hand in Hand level 3, maybe Let's Smile level 3 or Smart English level 3. If you want to use reading skill books, maybe Discovery level 3 or Smart Reading level 3, okay, grammar and writing and so on. Okay, so this will be a quick guideline for you to decide students' levels. And you can also download placement test from our website or eSmart Class, our platform. Okay, so when you go to eSmart Class, our website, you can see the download supplements, and you can download a test. And we provide many different types of tests, unit test, midterm test, final test, and so on. And you can find placement test. Okay, so you can give placement test to your student and find out if the student is, if they can do level 2 or level 3 or level 4. Okay, so this will also give you some guideline on deciding students' levels. Okay, so moving on to checking the level. That's number 2, right? Know your students and check the level of the book. So all eFuture books, we follow CEFR guideline. So if you look at this chart, right, starting from pre-A1 to C2, most of e-future books are for this level, right? Kindergarten and elementary level from pre-A1 to A2. And we have some books for B1 and B2 level. And this is our new secondary course book, English Wave. You can see the cover image here next to me. Right? That secondary course book goes up to B2. Okay, so you can look at the book, check the level, and see if the level matches with your student level. Okay, if you look at the back of the book, we provide CFR level chart. Okay, so this book is Smart Listening, and it's A2 level, right? And this book is Discovery, and it's A1 level. Okay, so yeah, check the back of the book to see the level and see if the level matches with your students. If you are not sure about your students' level, you can try the placement test, or you can try the online test that we provide on eFuture website. Okay, and so these are our course books. So we have course books from kindergarten to secondary. And as you can see here are the levels, right, from pre-A1 to B2. And you can see how the levels progress gradually, right? So you can compare the levels. Little Hands is, of course, pre-A1 level. It's starters, right? Because it's for kindergarten. But then if you look at Smart English, Let's Smile, and Hand in Hand, the level goes up to A2, right? And we have a new course book coming out next year that will go up to B1. And secondary course book, English Wave, goes up to B2. Okay, so you can look at this level chart and decide the course book that you want to use. If you want to use a reading skill book, then you can look at this chart. Okay, I'll share my PPT with you, so you can look at this chart later, right? You can keep it for your reference. For reading, we have many reading series. We have Smart Reading, we have My Reading series, and Discovery series, and also Reading Town, World, Planet for secondary level. Okay, and here we have the word count. Okay, so if you look at Smart Reading Level 1, 30 to 45, that means in each passage, in each story, if you count the number of words, then you will get 30 to 45 words. Okay, so you can see that when the level goes up, the word count increase. Right? So if you look at level 6, Smart Reading Level 6, we have 180 to 230 words in a story. Okay, and we also have Lexile level. I'm not sure if you are familiar with Lexile, but look down here. Lexile is a score that shows how difficult a text is to read. Okay, so if you want to compare Lexile levels, we have that as well. And CFR level, of course. Okay. So, yeah, so you can choose the books, the right level, by looking at this chart. And we also have readers, right? If you want to choose a reader, you can look at the readers level chart. So we have CFR level from pre-A1 to B2, C1, and Headword level as well. So you can choose readers, right? And because our books are correlated with CEFR, YLE level, you can match the books, right? So if you're using A1 level course book, and if you want to use readers together with the course book, you can choose the readers from A1 level. Okay, and same for reading or grammar or listening, right? You can choose, mix, and match the books according to CEFR level. This is grammar, and as I said before, we have this grammar series from pre-A1 to A2. If you look at YLE level, starters, movers, flyers, and the grammar points are from YLE grammar guideline. Okay, so when you finish using all these 6 books, then you learn all the grammar points provided from YLE. Okay. And in Japan, there's another exam, right? Very important one, ACAN, right? And CEFR level is probably not so popular in Japan, right? Compared to ACAN. ACAN is the most important level, I think, right? In other countries, we export our books to more than 20 countries all around the world. And many countries follow CFR, right? Cambridge exams are very popular in those countries. However, not so popular in Japan. Korea, not so popular. In Korea, I think a lot of people try TOEFL Junior. Higher level, they do TOEIC. And IELTS is getting a little bit popular, I think, right? So if you compare CFR level with ACAN level, you can look at this chart. Right? So if you're teaching at elementary level, pre-A1, A1, A2, starters, movers, flyers, that's like grade 3 to 5 in ACAN level. Yeah, so know your students' level and check the book level, right? Find the matching level. So that was my friendly guide number 2, right? Check the level. And check the goal. That's number 3, right? So we know our students, we know their level, and we want to check the goal. Because we follow CEFR levels, okay? CEFR provide can-do statements, okay? And that can be the goal for the books, right? Because if you can find this chart from Cambridge website, okay? So the learner can do these things, right? If they're at this level. So let's look at A2 flyers. I'll enlarge the image and look at A2 level. So A2 level, understand instructions given in more than one sentence. Understand simple conversations on everyday topics. Ask basic questions about everyday topics. Talk briefly about things that they have done. And understand short texts, even if they do not know every word. Understand simple written descriptions. Okay, this is what students can do when they are at this level. Okay, when they are at A2 level, flyers level. Okay, so this can be the goal of your course, right? I want my students to do this. That's the goal, right? Then you choose the books, right? Depending on the levels. We also provide YLE prep test. Okay, so when you finish our course books, you can try the prep test and see students' level, okay, to see if they achieve the goal, in other words, right? So, for example, this is Let's Smile. We provide, all these different types of tests. We provide placement test, as I said before, unit test, midterm test, final test, and then we also provide YLE prep test. Okay, so let's say you finished Let's Smile level 3, then you can try starters YLE test that we provide, right? And see if, what their scores are like. And if you finish book 5, then you can try movers test. Okay, and see if students achieve the goal, the can-do statements. And you can also check teacher's manual, right? For approaches, principles, features, and philosophy of the book, okay? And this can be related to the goals as well, right, of the series. So if you look at this course approach, we talk about CLIL, 21st century skills, global awareness, social skills, creativity, critical thinking, and technology literacy, communication. Okay. Course philosophy, learn by linking, learn for adventure, learn together, right? And course features. So you should check out these things, right, from teacher's manual. Usually you can find this information from teacher's manual, right? I'm talking about eFuture books today. However, right, not all of you use eFuture books, right? You choose books from other publishing companies, right? So you should check out the teacher's manual from those publishers and then see if, what sort of philosophy the book has and, what sort of goals the book has, right? And see if those goals and the philosophy and the principles match with your goal, your philosophy. Okay, I think that's quite important. This is for little hands. We teach basic English language in little hands. Right? So children learn simple vocabulary and useful expressions to communicate. Specially designed activities help children use and retain the language while having fun. Children read fun stories that help them relate to the people and world around them. And children also learn the alphabet and phonics to build a foundation for early literacy. Okay, so that's what we teach in Little Hands. Okay, so, and of course there are other things, right? Just read the highlighted words: communicate, play to learn, imagination, head to toe, art, math, physical education, science, and social studies. This is all clear. Okay, so please check teacher's manual for these, the basic concept or the principle or philosophy of the course. And goals are very important. Okay, clearly define what students should achieve at the end of the course, right? Why do we teach this course? Why do we teach this book? Why do our students need to get, what do our students need to get from it? Okay, that's the goal, right? Write a short statement of the goals of your course. Okay, so you have your own course, right? And you probably have your own school. So write down a short statement of the goals to help clarify what your course is trying to achieve. And this will help you choosing the books, right, that will achieve these goals. And goal is like the center of curriculum design, right? I got this chart from Language Curriculum Design. And this is a very, very good book, good reference book for you. Maybe you can read it later. If you look at the chart, goal is at the center, right, of this diagram, not chart, but diagram, right? And you can also think about principles, environment, needs, right? And choosing a book is just a small part of this curriculum design, right? However, it's related to all these things, right? So, yeah, please think about the goals and find the goals from the books and see if, you can match your own goals with the book goals. Because that's why we teach the course, and that's what our students need to get from, our course and our books. Okay, so how are we doing? Are we doing okay? Yeah, are you all following me? Yeah, I'm not going too fast. Yeah, if I'm going too fast, please let me know. Sometimes, I get too excited and I go really fast. And yeah, I'm giving you a lot of information, and I'm sure you are familiar with some of these things. You probably know all of these, right? But it can be a good review for you if you know all these things. And you can probably think about your own list for choosing books, or you can revise your list, maybe add some new information to the list. Yeah, that's the goal for this session today, right? Okay, so yeah, if you have any questions, just leave your questions on the chat box. I can go back and Yeah, check. Yes, it's all good. Okay, great. That's good. So we know our students, we know the level, right? And we know the goal. Now look at the topics. Okay. You can check the content page, right, to see the topics. So this is from Smart Reading, and you can see all the topics here, right? My family, and then my family, my brother, my friends, colors, clothes, right? These are all very interesting and familiar topics for young students, right? And when you are checking out the topics, also check out the illustrations too, right? Because illustrations are important too, and the design of the book, right? Are they attractive, right? Do they look interesting, right? When students open the book, they'll have to find it interesting, right? Remember the most important question that I talked about? Would my students like this book? Would my students enjoy this book? Right? So that's the question you always have to ask yourself. Yes, I think students will like these kind of topics, right? My friend Sarah, yummy cake. That's the topic I liked. That's why I chose this unit, right? Yummy cake. And then look at all these pictures, right? You want to read this passage. I want to read the passage. Yeah. Let's look at some other books. Look at these topics. Under the sea, amazing sharks. And look at this picture, right? It's interesting. Where do sharks live? You can talk about the pictures, right? Look at these. Wow, they're huge, right? Interesting topics, interesting pictures, right? Students will become interested. This is for secondary level. Again, right? Same thing. When you look at the topic, right? Animals, two big cats, lions around the world, tigers as pets. Wow, this will be very interesting, right? Tigers as pets. Yeah, this will create a lot of discussion and interesting talks, right? Tigers as pets. Um, Technology, right? These days, students are interested in science and technology. They want to read nonfiction stories, right? So it's good to have a balance between fiction and nonfiction stories, right? So look at the topics, right? See if your students like these topics, right? And check out the illustrations and the pictures, right? Look at this picture. Interesting, isn't it? Two big cats. So the unit will talk about lions and tigers. This is from Reading Town. Oh, by the way, I put a small cover image of the book, right? So if you want to check out the book later, right, you can look at the book cover. You can also check out scope and sequence. Okay, so here we have the titles and you can see the topics from there anyway, right? At recess, in the classroom. And from scope and sequence, you can check out the targets as well, right? You can look at the conversation, you can look at the vocabulary items, and you can look at the grammar structures. Okay, so unit one, students will learn this conversation. What are you doing? We are playing. Okay, and vocabulary, jumping, running, singing, sitting. Grammar, what's she doing? She's jumping. Okay, so yeah, check out scope and sequence, very important. And see if the book focuses on the most essential items, most frequently used items. Remember EFL, ESL that I was talking about earlier in the session? Yeah, we should focus on those things. And you should also check out the sequence for grammar, right? So scope and sequence, very important when you're choosing a book. Okay. So let's go back to what we've talked about, right? Know your students, check the level, check the goal, look at the topics. Okay, so now we know our students, right? And we know their level. we have the goal and we looked at the topics, right? The topics look very interesting, right? And the pictures and the illustrations, right? And the book has the vocabulary items and the grammar structures that our students need. Yeah. Then move on to number 5, review the book structure. Okay. And when you review the book structure, these are some of the questions that you can ask yourself. Are the review units or recycling sections there in the book? Okay, review units, recycling sections. Are instructions clear and easy to understand? Okay, this is not only for students, but for teachers as well, right? The instructions should be clear and easy, right? Is the layout clean and not too crowded? When you open the book, if it's too crowded, if there's too much text, then students might get stressed just by looking at that page, right? So it shouldn't be too crowded, right? It should have nice, clear, simple layout, right? With nice, simple, clear instruction. And is vocabulary useful, frequent, and recycled? We already talked about this, right? When we talk about the goals and topics. Are grammar points clear and well sequenced, right? We talked about this when I talked about scope and sequence. Okay, so again, you can ask these questions. And of course, there are more questions that you can ask, right? And that's what I meant. You can write down more questions as we go on through this list, you can add more things or you can revise, right? But always ask yourself, would my students enjoy using this book, right? Okay, so review the book structure. Let's move on to number 5, review the book structure. Usually in teacher's manual, they provide lesson flow like this. Okay, so this is from Little Hands, and this is the unit flow. So lesson 1, warm up. Lesson 2, words, introducing the new words, right? Keywords. Lesson 3, practice. So you practice the vocabulary, you practice the expressions, right? Lesson 4, conversation. And then lesson 5, we have stories, right? And then we have CLIL. Lesson 7, art. Lesson 8, unit link. Okay, so in Little Hands, we have art activity in every unit. And there's CLIL in every unit. However, the subject changes, right? If it's science in unit 1, unit 2, it'll be math. Unit 3, it'll be social studies, right? So CLIL subject changes. However, art is in every unit because art is important, right? For young learners, for their creativity and so on. And unit link, right? So unit link is important because we are in EFL environment. Our students have only 1 or 2 classes per week, right? So their time is so limited. So we need to link the language targets that they learned in the previous lesson with the new language target that they learned today's lesson so that they can practice together, they can remember better, right? They make a link and also review and recycle the language. Okay, so when you're choosing a book, please check if there is a unit link, not only the review, but also unit link. Okay. And also, you need to think about the course length. Someone just asked me a question on the chat box about the schedule, right? Scheduling the books. So I'm giving you an example here using Smart English, right? And of course, you have to adapt, right? According to your own situation, right? So for example, if you're using Smart English, you can check the content page, see how many units there are, right? So here we have unit 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And it goes up to unit 12, right? And then we have jump up. Jump up is a review section, okay? So unit 1, 2, and then jump up 1. Unit 3, 4, and jump up 2. Okay, so after 2 units, there's a review unit. Okay, so regular unit, there are 12 regular units. And how many review units? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 review units. Okay, and then we have 2 units for this one, show your progress 1, show your progress 2. This is review and assessment. Okay, so we have 2 units for that. So altogether, 20 units. Okay, 12 regular units, 6 review units, and then 2 review and assessment units. Okay, so total 20 units. Some books are different, right? Some books have 12 regular units. Some other books, they have 16 units. Some other books, 20 units. It's all different. So I'm just giving you an example how you can schedule your lessons. Okay, so we are using Smart English as an example. So in Smart English, there are 20 units in each book. Okay. So if you use one book for 1 year, that's most of the cases, right? Use one book for 1 year. Let's say there are 10 months in 1 year. I mean, there are 12 months, but there's also vacation and, all these other things. So we can just, say that there are 10 months in 1 year, school year, right? So you use one book for 10 months. Remember, this is just an example, right? And so 2 units per month, right? You can do 2 units per month because there are 20 units, right? In Smart English, 20 units, 10 months. So that means you use 2 units per month. Okay? This is not complicated math, but some teachers find this quite difficult, right? So if you have some questions, you can leave the questions on the chat box. I can go over this, I can do it one more time, or I can explain again, or, I can spend more time on this. But so far you're okay, right? One book for 10 months, and in one book, there are 20 units. Okay, so you use 2 units per month. Okay, and in each month, there are 4 weeks. Okay, so you use 2 units for 4 weeks. That means you use 1 unit for 2 weeks. Yeah, you okay with this? Yeah, and in Smart English, there are 5 pages in 1 unit. Okay, so that means in 1 week, you do 2.5 pages. Okay, so here I'm talking about student book only. Okay, so in Japan, I know that you usually have 1 class per week, right? So that means you do 2.5 pages per week, per class. Okay, so this is, a simple calculation. If it's, if you don't want to do this calculation, just think in a simple way. Just do 1 or 2 pages per book. That's a simple guideline. Okay, 1 or 2 pages per class. Okay, and that will give you 1 book per year. Right? That's most of e-teacher books work like that. Okay. However, we provide other things, like there's workbook. Okay, you can also think about the workbook, and there are also extra resources. We have worksheets, we have online practice, and we have mobile app, we have tests. Okay, so there are also these other extra resources that you can use. Okay, so let's say you do only 2 pages per class, right? That's fine because you can do other activities, right? We're using all these extra resources. Okay, so our books are very flexible. Okay, with all these extra resources, you can be very flexible and you can adapt. Okay, but the simple rule is do 1 or 2 pages, right, per lesson. And every class is different. Some class is for 45 minutes. Some class is for 60 minutes. Some class 50 minutes, right? So it's very difficult to calculate all these, lessons and the pages, right? So please remember 1 or 2 pages per book. And there are other resources that you can use, right? If you do 3 pages per lesson, that's okay, right? In your next lesson, you can do extra worksheets. Okay? I hope this is clear with you, right? If you're still not sure, you can send us an email, right? We can give you a personalized schedule for you, right? We've done that with some schools, right? If you can tell us how many minutes your class is and how many months, right? And then we can work it out for you, and then we can give you the guideline, right? We can do that as well. These extra resources are all free, right? They are downloadable from our website or our platform, and I'll get back to you later. Okay? And so let's compare Smart English with Hand in Hand. Okay? Hand in Hand has more content, and Hand in Hand level is a little bit higher than Smart English. Okay? So if you want more content for your class, okay, then you can choose Hand in Hand, because in Hand, 1 unit has 6 pages. Okay, more content compared to Smart English. Okay, so you can probably do 3 pages, right, per week. And there's also a project book. There's a project that you can do with Hand in Hand. Okay, so if you want more content, if you want something more challenging, then you go for Hand in Hand. Okay, Hand in Hand has all these extra resources too. So we have 3 different primary course books. We have Smart English, Let's Smile, and Hand in Hand. Okay, and there are some differences. So let's look at this. Smart English is easy and fun, right? So that's the concept for Smart English. Easy to learn, fun to learn, easy to remember. And so Smart English, easy and fun, right? Let's Smile. The concept is everything is linked. Language targets are linked and recycled. Language targets are linked to school subjects. Language targets are linked to the world. Okay. Let's Smile has a little bit more content if you compare to Smart English, right? Hand in Hand, more content, because Hand in Hand has a project book for CLIL. So Hand in Hand helps students become successful in the 21st century. So it focuses on global awareness, CLIL, and 21st century skills. Okay, so we have 3 different course books to give you options. Okay, you can think about your students, you can think about the level of your students, right? And you can think about the teaching hours, and then make a choice, right? You can choose Smart English if you want something fun and easy. You can choose Let's Smile if you want some CLIL, right, with fun and easy element. You can choose Hand in Hand. It's still fun and easy, but it has global awareness, CLIL, and 21st century skills. Okay? If you want to check out the sample pages, remember we have sample pages on our website, right? That's the same for phonics, right? We have different phonics series. Again, we give options to teachers, right? You can choose the book that is more suitable, right, for your teaching environment. So if you look at, let's look at the cover image first, because they are all very nice, right? You can look at Smart Phonics, EFL Phonics, Speed Phonics, School Phonics, and Little Phonics. And some of you might have already used some of these books. Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics are probably the most popular series. Let's compare the targets. Okay, so here we have Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics. Okay, if you look at the number of books, there are 5 books for Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics. Okay, and the phonics targets are the same, right, for Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics. Book 1, single letter. Book 2, short vowels. Book 3, long vowels. Book 4, double letter. And Book 5, double letter vowels, right? So they are the same. However, the difference is component, right? For Smart Phonics, we have student book and workbook separate, right? EFL Phonics workbook is included in student book. Okay, so you just buy student book and you get workbook as well because it's included inside student book, right? However, if you want to do more practice on workbook, right, you can choose Smart Phonics because workbook has more pages for Smart Phonics, so more practice. Okay. However, the language targets are the same, the phonics targets, and the sequence are the same because this is the best sequence for EFL learners. Okay. And as you can see, the sequence is the same for all our phonics books. Speed phonics, there are 3 books. School phonics, 4 books. Okay. So we combined book 1 and 2 to make one book for speed phonics. Right? And we split book 4 into 2 parts. And then we combine the first part with book 3 to make book 2. And we combine the second part of book 4 with book 5, and then we made book 3. Okay, so although there are 3 books, all the phonics targets are there, and we follow the same sequence. And it's speed phonics because there are only 3 books. You can go faster. It's a fast track. Okay, so again, if you want something fast, then you can use speed phonics. If you are teaching older students, right, who wants to finish phonics, as soon as possible, then you can choose speed phonics, right, because there are only 3 books. School phonics, there are 4 books. Again, the phonics targets are the same and the sequence is the same, right, but there are 4 books. Because we combined book 3 and 4 to make book 3, School of Phonics book 3. Okay, oops, sorry. Okay, and then Little Phonics. Little Phonics is for kindergarten level. Because this is for very young children, we have 4 books. However, the level is same as book 2 in Smart Phonics. So we divide Smart Phonics book 1 targets into 2 books. For Little Phonics, book 1 and book 2. And we divide book 2 of Smart Phonics, and then we made book 3 and 4 for Little Phonics. So as you can see, the language targets are there, following the same sequence. However, the level goes only up to book 2 if you look at Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics. Okay, so when you finish Little Phonics book 4, you can move on to School Phonics book 3, or Speed Phonics book 2, or EFL Phonics book 3, or Smart Phonics book 3, right? So you can mix and match because we follow the same sequence, because we have the same phonics targets, right? You can change it to other books. There's no problem, right? Changing it around. So when you finish Speed Phonics book 1, right, you want to move on to School Phonics book 3, EFL Phonics book 3, or School Phonics book 3, right? Because it's very systematic. You can do that, right? So that's our phonics series. So many teachers ask me, right, how come you have so many phonics books? And this is the reason why, right? We give more options for the teachers, right? So you can choose the books that is the most suitable for your students. So this is my suggestion for your curriculum, right? If you have only 1 class per week, usually teachers just use one course book, right? If you want to do some extra reading practice, some teachers use course book together with readers, right? Or reading skill book. Okay. I I met some Japanese teachers who are using the main course book for their class is like 60 minutes, right? Then they use the main course book for 15 minutes and then 10 minutes for readers, right? This is just for fun reading for students for 10 minutes, right? So you can divide your class time like that. If you want to do some grammar practice, right, together with your main course book, and if you only teach one class, then you can divide the class time. Like maybe you can do 30 minutes course book and 20 minutes grammar. I mean, I'm just giving you examples, right? If you are teaching 2 classes per week, you can just use one book, the main course book. That's okay because main course book has all 4 skills, speaking, listening, reading, and writing, right? However, if you want to do some extra practice with listening or reading or writing, right, then you can use one book. If you have 2 classes, you can use main course book for one class, and for the other class, you can use one of the skill books. Right? So you can think about your course, you can think about your students, and then you can make some, you can use some supplementary books. Okay? And I'm giving you a lot of information. I hope you're okay. You all okay? Are we doing okay? I see some questions on the chat box, and my colleagues have been answering the questions, right? Yeah, so thank you for the help. We have a workbook, right? Yes. For most of our books, we have the workbook, and you can use workbook for activity book, workbook for homework, right? Yes. And some workbook is, for some books, workbook is included inside student book. And for some books, we have separate student book and workbook. Okay, now let's move on to our friendly guide number 6. Evaluate the activities, right? So there should be a lot of activities in the book, right, to make the lessons more interesting and fun, right? So if you look at e-future books, we try to have a lot of activities and games in the book, right? Something like this. But here are the questions that you can ask when you think about the activities. Are activities meaningful and interesting? Not just fill in the blanks, right? The activity should be meaningful and interesting. Do we have songs and chant, stories? Are all 4 skills included? Speaking, listening, reading, and writing? Are there enough speaking opportunities for students? Real life communication? Digital games and activities? Okay, you can ask all these questions to yourself. Okay, and of course, you can add more questions, right? So when you choose the books, look through the pages, see if there are, different types of activities included in the book. Hopefully interesting, fun, meaningful activities and games, right? That students will enjoy and also learn by doing those games and activities. It should be, the games and activities are for practice, right? But it should be fun practice. And we also have mobile app and online practice, right, for extra practice. And activities should be interesting and relevant to keep students motivated. So games and activities are good for motivation and engagement. And let's look at link and review again, right? I talked briefly about link and review. Yeah, I said link is important because students only have 1 or 2 classes per week, and they will forget when they come back to the class. They'll forget what they learned in the previous lessons. That's why we have to make a link, right? So students can remember and they can practice the old target and the new target together. right? So that's why link and review is important, right? We can recycle the language through link and review. And in all eFuture books, link and review is very important. So there is a section called link and review. Okay, so look at this page. This is lesson 4, and we have a new language target, right, for lesson 4. And then we have a language target from lesson 2, and we are making a link and practice together so students can remember and they can make a link and they can practice together, right? If you look at the keyword section, right, lesson 4 keywords are here, right? L4 is lesson 4, lesson 4, lesson 4. But we also have review and link with lesson 2 words and lesson 1 words. Okay, so students will practice the lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 4 words together and make a link and recycle the language. So systematic link and review is very important, and that's why we have a spiral syllabus. Okay, but most of the books have linear syllabus. Okay, linear syllabus is just one line. Okay, I'm talking about grammar, especially for this one. So you learn nouns in Unit 1, and you do pronouns in Unit 2, right? And you learn adjectives in Unit 3, and you learn verbs in Unit 4. However, there's no link between these units. There may be some review, right? When you finish Unit 1, nouns, you can probably do some review. And when you go to Unit 2, pronouns, and you can probably review pronouns. However, there's no real link between nouns and pronouns or nouns and adjectives, right? So this is linear syllabus. We follow spiral syllabus. So here, Unit 1, we learn nouns. And when we go to Unit 2, the new target is pronouns. However, we link pronouns with nouns and practice together, link and recycle. And when we go to Unit 3, we learn adjectives as a new language target. However, we also make a link with nouns and pronouns and recycle. Okay, so this is why spiral syllabus is important, especially for EFL environment, right? So students can make a link, they can remember, and they can practice, and they can actually use the language. So when you look at my first grammar book, you will see a chart like this. There's a section for link and review. And do you see this? Lesson 12, lesson 13, lesson 14, right? So this tells you, right, that in this activity, you are linking the targets from all these different lessons. Okay? And when you finish this, you can check. Right? There is a grammar chart that we provide on the bottom of the page, right? For teachers, this page is a cumulative quiz. The chart below shows which lesson each question is from. Okay, so when you do this page, if students have some problems with number 2, right? What is on the desk? And they have some problems answering this question, right? Writing, filling in the blanks. Then you can check the grammar chart. Okay, number 2 is from lesson 13. So maybe you can go back to lesson 13, do some review, and then come back here. Right? This is a very powerful tool for teachers, right? Yeah, and so this is where linking, reviewing, and recycling is happening, right, on this section, link and review. And we do this systematically. It's inside the book. So teachers, you don't have to do anything. You just have to follow the book. It's already included in the book, right? So you don't have to think about, what should I link? What should I recycle, right? Because we are doing it in the book. So just have to follow the book. Okay? How are we doing with the time? Oh, we are doing okay with the time, so we can look at this chart. So this is a typical forgetting curve for newly learned information. Okay, so when you learn something for the first time, right, you understand 100% and you remember. However, next day, right, day one, the next day, you forget. You only retain the information 80%, right? That's why you have to review, right? So that will bring back the memory. Students will remember, right? This is why recycling and repetition is important. So learners need repeated exposure and practice with the language items in different contexts. Learners should have increasingly spaced, repeated opportunities to retrieve and give attention to wanted items in a variety of contexts, right? So we are doing this inside the book in the section called Link and Review. Okay, so we talked about many things, right? I hope you're doing okay. Yeah? Okay, I'm giving you a lot of information today. So hopefully when you go back to your class or, when you go back to your free time, you can review the points that we talked about, right? And make your own guideline or maybe checklist, right, for choosing books. So the last one, check teacher support materials, right? Someone asked me questions about the supporting materials, right? So here, I'll tell you more about this. And when you are checking teacher support materials, you can ask these questions, right? Teacher's book with clear guidance. Is there a teacher's book, right, that give clear guidance? Do we provide answer keys, audio, and other resources? And are they easy to access? Okay, you can ask these questions. So when you go to our website, right, you can access the audio, right? Now we don't have CDs on the book, right? We used to attach CDs to the books, right? But now we removed all the CDs because there's no CD player to play the CDs these days. So instead, we have the QR code, right? On the cover of the book, you will find the QR code for the audio. Or you can go to our website, right? Here's the QR code, right? And there's also audio player button there, right? And when you go to audio player, you will see something like this, right? You will see all eFuture books for audio streaming. So alphabet, phonics, course books, right? We have all this. And when you click, let's say, for example, speaking, right? Then you will see speaking books there. And you are looking for audio for magic speaking, then just click the book and then you'll see this, right? You can download MP3 download here, or you can play all tracks, or you can just play unit 1 track. Okay, so it's very easy to use, right? Easy access. And also we provide audio on mobile app. Right? Some of our books have mobile app. Actually, all the course books and all the phonics books have mobile app, right? So when you can download mobile app from App Store, right? Apple Store or Google Play Store. And on the app, you will find the audio, right? So when you go to audio, you will see all these tracks and you can play the audio from mobile app, okay? And on the mobile app, we also have other things like, videos and games and so chant, conversation video, song video, game, and flashcards, right? All those things are on the mobile app. It's free, right? You can just download for free. We also have teacher's ebook on our platform, right? It's eSmart Class. That's our platform. And you can use the audio from there, right? So if you're using teacher's ebook, you will see all these audio signs, right? Audio buttons there, here. This one, the little headset button. So when you click that, you can just play the audio. And you can also play video there as well, right? Here's the video button, right? If you click that, you can just play the video. So for teacher's ebook, you can use it on the screen, right? If you have a big screen, you can, in your classroom, you can use it. You can use the teacher's ebook. And to get access to eSmart Class, you can contact our partner in Japan, English Books Japan. You can get the access code from there. Okay, so teacher's ebook is very useful, right? You can look at the book. It's exactly like the student book. However, you can put it up on the screen, big screen. You can look at it together with your students. You can play the audio. You can watch the video, right? It's all there, and there are some games as well. Okay, so yeah, if you have any questions about the ebooks, you can contact us, or you can contact our partner in Japan. I'll give you more information later on. And we also have videos on YouTube. So if you go to eFuture YouTube channel, just search E-Future on YouTube, right? Then you will go to eFuture channel on YouTube. We have a lot of videos there, right? Videos for the songs and the conversation, chant, right? So you can watch the YouTube videos together with your students if you want. So we provide a lot of access for teachers, right? So whichever way you want to access, it's up to you, right? Which is more convenient for you. You can just use that. Okay, and yeah, we also provide assessment and tests for teachers, right? This is very important for teachers. You don't have to make your own test, right? Teachers are busy, right? You have to do a lot of paperwork, right? And you have to talk to the parents. You have to talk to the students. You have to prepare for your lessons, right? You just don't have time to make extra resources. That's why we provide all these tests and the worksheets and the resources. So here, this is from Little Hands. Little Hands is for kindergarten young learners, and they are not up to that level for tests. So we provide assessment checklist. Okay, so you can go through this checklist and assess the students' progress. We also provide, remember, unit test, midterm test, final test, and YLE prep test. We provide this for all our course books. And we also provide this for, remember, Hand in Hand has a project book, right? So after doing the project, students can do a presentation. Okay, and you can assess students' presentation using this chart, right? So you can look at students' confidence level and posture. You can give score, right? Excellent for 5, 4 for good, 3 satisfactory, 2 needs improvement, right? You can look at students' gesture and give score, eye contact, voice projection and expression. Okay, all these are important criteria for presentation, right? And this will help students with their presentation skills, right? So if you look at excellent, score 5, student presented confidently and maintained good posture. Student consistently made gestures. Student consistently made eye contact. And student spoke clearly and expressively. Then you get score 5. Right? So this will be very useful for the project lesson for Hand in Hand, project and presentation. And for the resources, here you go. Someone asked a question about this. You can download these free resources from our website. This is our website, efuture-elt.com. When you go to the website, you will find downloads. Right? If you click that, you can download the resources for free. You have to log in using your email and name and basic information. Right? It's free. You can also download the materials from eSmart Class. eSmart Class is our platform, LMS platform. And to use this, you need the access code. And you can talk to our partner in Japan, EBJ, and I'll give their contact details later on. Okay, so when you go to esmartclass.net, you will see the button here, downloads, right? And you can download the materials from here as well. Okay, it's free. Okay, so I talked about all 7 things on my guideline, right? So the the most important thing is know your students, number one, right? You have to know your students, right? And then you can check out the books. You can check the levels, goals, topics, book structure, activities, right? And teacher support materials, right? And one more important thing is here. This question, would I enjoy teaching with this book? Right? This is another important question, right? That you have to ask yourself, would I enjoy teaching with this book? Right? You should enjoy too, not only your students, but you should enjoy too, right? Happy teachers make happy students, right? So no book is perfect. If you are looking for a perfect book, it's probably impossible to find, right? You might have to adapt and get the best out of it, right? Unless you write your own book. I mean, even if you write your own book, right, it won't be perfect. Yeah, so you have to adapt, right? You have to be flexible, right? And our books are very flexible. You can adapt easily. Trust your teaching experience. This is important too. You know your students best, and your experience matters, right? And you know when you look at the book, you'll have the feeling this book will work, this book will not work, right? You will have that feeling, right? So trust your feeling, trust your experience, right? This is very important because you know your students best, right? And this is also very important. The best book is not the most famous one or the most popular one. Okay, sometimes teachers just follow the popular books or famous books, right? Because it can be quite difficult for them to choose the books, or if they don't have time to choose the books, they just follow. Right? Oh, this is the most popular one. This is the most famous one. This is from a famous publisher, right? However, the best book is not the most famous one. It's the one that helps your students improve English. And it's the book that your students enjoy. And it's the book that you enjoy, right? So please remember these points, right? And you know the best. So here's the, any questions about the guideline that I was talking about today? Any questions? I should go back to this chat box and then look at all the questions. Right? I'll do that in a minute, right? Yeah, I hope the guideline was clear and easy and helpful. Was it friendly too? Yeah, I hope it was. Yeah, and please remember this slide. This slide is very, very important, right? This is the conclusion of today's session. And here's the information for our Japanese partner, Japan English Books JP, and here's the email. And someone just asked the phone number, right, on the chat box. So please check the, hang on, I can just give you the phone number. And it was here. Oh yeah, 0985 416611. That's the phone number for Japan, right? This is for Japan. 0985 416611. Right? That's the phone number for Japan. If you are from other countries, look at the list here, right? And you can find the contact details because we export our books to more than 20 countries and we have partners in each country. For some countries, we don't have partners yet. Then look at 17. You can contact us in future, inquiry@ertkorea.com. Okay? And here's the website from English Books JP. They have some special promotion for spring. So please check out their website. Here's the website address. Okay, so please check out. Oh, here are some of the books that I was talking about today. Magic Speaking, Smart Listening, 1200 Words, and Discovery, right? Okay, so we have more webinars coming up, right? We have Marie on the 12th of February. So Marie Sensei will talk about make tomorrow's lesson easier, right? And she will provide practical teaching ideas with smart listening and discovery. Okay, so this session will be done in Japanese language. Okay, so yeah, you can ask questions in Japanese and yeah. So in Japanese. Webinar 3 will be on the 20th of February, and Hannah will be doing this in English, right? And Hannah will talk about teaching smart, building strong foundations. Okay, so we will record all these 3 sessions and we'll upload the videos on YouTube, so you'll have the access. And we will share the PPT with English Books JP, so you can, if you want to have the PPT, you can contact them. Yeah, this one in Japanese, the next webinar. Okay. And that's it for my webinar today. And my colleagues will share some links on the chat box. So please check out the chat box. There will be a link for certificate, right? If you want to get a certificate for this session, certificate of attendance, then you can fill in the survey, right? Then you'll get the certificate, right? So my colleagues are sharing the links for the certificate and the survey, right? And also they are sharing the link for our next webinar on the chat box. And there's a link for EBJ, English Books Japan, their special promotion link, okay? And yeah, and here's our email and website and social media. So please follow us on social media so to get the new information about books. Right now, let me go back to some messages and the questions on the chat box. See if I can answer some of the questions now. Right? Okay. So here. Some of you are thinking of changing textbooks. So yeah, so today's session was helpful. Thank you very much. What books would you recommend for junior high school, age 13 to 16? I would recommend English Wave. That we are printing the books now, right? It's a new series. We are printing the books now, and the books will be in stock at the end of this month, actually next week. And the books will be available in Japan very soon. Okay, and we are sharing the sample pages with English Books Japan, so you can probably get some sample pages from them to have a look, right? And yeah, the books will be available very soon in Japan. And we have some introduction videos and also webinars that our colleague Joseph did last month on our YouTube channel. So you can check out the YouTube channel to find the videos on English Wave, right? That's the book for high school, right? English Wave, that's the new one. This is English Wave, right? I have the cover image right here. It's new, okay? So that's for junior high and high school. And there's another question. Yeah, English Wave, that's right. And yeah, a lot of information, right? Yes, a lot of information. I hope you find it interesting and helpful. Yes, all the links are there. My first grammar and my first writing. Yeah, my first grammar is to practice, to learn grammar structures and practice grammar in a communicative way, right? That's the purpose of my first grammar, okay? Learning grammar and practicing grammar in a fun way, interesting way, and communicative way. So that's my first grammar. My first writing is to write sentence level at my first writing, and then we move on to paragraph level and then essay level in my next writing. Right? So my first writing is for writing. However, in order to do writing, you need to learn the basic vocabulary and also grammar structure. So there is grammar involved in my first writing. Okay, so you're right. Construct sentences confidently on their own, right? That's for my first writing. That's correct, right? Someone asked me about my first grammar in my first writing. Okay, and what else? My first grammar in my first writing, which do I recommend? I think it's different, right? If you want to do some writing practice, then use my first writing. If you just want to focus on grammar, communicative grammar, then use my first grammar. Yes, we have student book and workbook for most of our books, sometimes separate, sometimes, workbook is included in student book. And any other questions? My first grammar is I strongly depending on your purpose, right? If you want to do writing, then you should go for my first writing. However, I strongly recommend my first grammar if you are looking for a grammar book, because my first grammar and my next grammar is very unique. It's a grammar book. However, it contains games and activities, and so students can do communicative grammar. It's not the book grammar. It's a communicative grammar, so you can actually use the grammar. Right? It's a very good series. It's one of our bestsellers, and it's my favorite e-future book. Actually, my first grammar series. I was involved in the project when we made my first grammar first edition, actually. So it's my favorite book. It's one of the best. What other questions? Yeah, so skill books are to practice particular skills. So reading skill book, writing skill book, and speaking skill book, listening skill book. Right? So those are skill books. The main course book contains all 4 skills: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. So if you can just use one book, then you should use the course book. However, if you want to focus on a specific skill, then you can use a skill book together with the course book or on its own, right? I know some language schools, they focus on reading skills, so they only use reading books. I mean, it depends on the goal of the school. I mean, goal of the course, right? So you can just use the skill book, that's fine. However, I recommend using the main course book, especially for young learners with lower level, because they will do all 4 skills if you use a course book. Okay, and I talked about the additional resources. It's free if you use our books. And yeah, I think I covered all the questions on the chat box. Any other questions? No? Okay, then I think that's it for, there's one on Q&A. To get today's PPT, you can email us. I can email back to you, or you can get it from EBJ, or maybe we can add my PPT link to the survey. I'm not sure if we can do that now, but please email me, right, if you need the PPT, or contact EBJ. Okay, here's the email address here on this page, on this slide. Email inquiry@eltkorea.com. Okay, I think that's it for today. If you don't have any, oh yeah, here, EBJ can send the link later to all attendees, right, for the PPTs. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed today's session. Did you enjoy? Yeah, and was it useful? Yeah. So I hope you can make your own guidelines or maybe checklist, right? So that you can use it for choosing books. And the guide that I gave you, it's just a guide, right? So you can adapt and revise, right? And hope you enjoy teaching, and hopefully you can use some of eFuture books. And yeah, that's it. Have fun with your students. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.